Hi, and welcome back to the I Do Me podcast. I went looking for questions, the stickiest, most embarrassing sex related questions I could find on the internet. I asked you guys for some additional questions, and you absolutely delivered. Now, some of these things people have been quietly wondering for years. Some of them are a little less chaotic, and some of them are actually way deeper than they might seem on the surface. And that's kind of the point of this episode, because a lot of simple sex questions aren't actually simple at all. And there are common themes. They usually relate to pressure from a partner or pressure you put on yourself, confidence, of course, being stuck in your head, or just not really fully understanding how your body works yet. So today, nothing is off limits. We're going to get through as many of these as we can. Let's explore. So, the first question we're going to look at is why does it take me so long to get there, right? So long to finish. And this is one of the most common ones I saw. And straight away, it's totally normal. You're not broken at all. What usually slows things down isn't necessarily your body, it's up here, right? It's your brain. If you're in your head thinking, it's taking too long, I should have done it already, how do I look? Then, like I've said before, you've already left your body. When you start standing on the outside, looking in with that sort of critical thinking clipboard. So, and this is because a lot of people treat pleasure like it's a task, something to tick off your to do list. Got to get in quick, get it done, and move on with the rest of your day. But you can't rush yourself into feeling more, right? We've talked about this before. The goal isn't to get there faster, it's about feeling more on the way to getting there. Next question. Why can I do it so easily by myself, but it gets so hard with a partner? And this one, we sort of have to break it down. When you're on your own, you're more relaxed. You're in control of what's going on. Hopefully, you're not putting any pressure on yourself, and no one's there watching you, right? When you're having sex with a partner, there's an expectation, or there's multiple expectations about what's going to happen next. How am I performing, right? And performance is a big part of that. When you're having partnered sex, you're on show. And of course, in the back of your mind, you're aware that there's another person involved, right? There's another person in the room. So it doesn't mean that you don't necessarily like that person or that you aren't going to get there with that person. It's just that you're naturally more relaxed when you're on your own. And this is where spending that time when you are on your own, getting to know your own body becomes absolute power. Once you understand what your body actually responds to and what you enjoy, then you can communicate that to a partner. All right, this is a big one. How do I stop thinking about how I look during sex? That's the moment, the exact moment we talked about before, where you're leaving your body and you're observing yourself with that critical mind. You're not experiencing anything, you're evaluating. So you've got your little clipboard out and you're thinking, no, this could be better, or this angle's not great, or I should have washed my hair yesterday so it wasn't so fluffy today, those sorts of things. And like I said in the last episode, spending time inside of your body outside of sex will help you build confidence over time, but initially it's not confidence that we're going for, it's neutrality, right? We're not at war with ourselves. We're taking that step back, touching ourselves with no goal, no end point in mind, becoming more familiar with how your body feels, and we're moving towards that body confidence. Which leads me into the next question. Do I need that full body confidence before I can actually enjoy sex? And the simple answer is nope. Confidence isn't an entry requirement to sex. Safety is, comfort is, and that sort of neutrality within yourself, not sitting there with your clipboard and hating things about your body, that's the entry requirement. And the confidence will come after, right? When you start having those better experiences as a result of slowly building up that confidence over time, that's the side effect, not a prerequisite. Okay, next question. Why don't I feel horny until after we start having sex? And this is an important one and it's often pretty misunderstood. There are two different types of desire. You've got that spontaneous desire that comes out of nowhere, right? That's the horniness that can strike at any time. And then you've got responsive desire, which starts after sex starts. That responsive desire is arousal, like we talked about in the last episode. Horny comes first, arousal is built up after you actually start. And a lot of people, especially women, need that responsive desire, right? Being horny only gets you one step of the way anyway. You need that arousal built up over time, slowly if possible, during sex. But we talked about prerequisites, right? Horny is not necessarily a prerequisite. It's not an entry requirement to sex. It may be that you are just someone that doesn't experience that spontaneous desire as much. So it doesn't mean that you don't want to engage in that sexual experience. It just means that your body tends to warm up more after you actually start having sex. So think more about it as horny is the invitation for the engagement to start, not the whole experience. All right, next question. My favorite toy that I've had for ages always gets me where I want to go, all of a sudden doesn't work anymore. Yes, that's completely normal. Like we've said before, your body's not something you can switch on and off all the time. You're not going to get the same result every time, right? It's that network of nerve endings and pathways. So, different moods, different levels of stress or energy, or even the environment that you're in will change how your body responds to something. So, if something changes, it's responsiveness from your body. It's not inconsistency. Your body's not doing it to piss you off. It just has decided that it needs something different. Maybe, and it might be a temporary thing, right? Trying something different and then leading back into your favorite toy might work. But don't get frustrated with your body because it's not doing exactly what you want it to do in the moment. One of my favorite questions next. Do people actually enjoy anal? Yes, absolutely, some people do. Now, not everyone is going to, but in my experience, the people that say they don't enjoy anal is because they've had previous bad experiences, almost always with a partner that didn't understand that anal sex requires prep work. There's more involved, right? So enjoying anal sex comes down to preparation. Some people like to douche. Douching is not a requirement for anal experiences, but it can help with your confidence, right? If you're sitting there worried about poop, poop is a reality when it comes to anal sex, even solo play. That's where it lives. So at some point, you're probably going to experience it. For some people, douching removes that worry, which can help you relax more into the situation. That's totally fine if that's part of your prep. That's part of your prep. If you're someone who doesn't want to do that step, don't. Honestly, a hot shower is going to be just as good. The relaxation part is the most important part, and feeling safe, right? Whether it's with a partner or by yourself, feeling relaxed and like it's okay to just experience whatever comes next is the key to a good anal experience. Anal is not something that you can just rush into either. It's something that requires build up and anticipation and, that prep work as well, maybe. But it's important to understand that anal is a different experience altogether. So it's not just about the act itself, it's about how your body experiences it. We are going to do probably an entire episode about anal, but those are my keynotes. Okay, next question. Sometimes when I'm getting close, I feel like I'm busting to pee. Why? It's super common, and it's actually an awesome sign because you've got clusters of nerve endings that sit in between the vaginal wall or the anal cavity and the bladder. These nerve clusters that are in that area that are close to where the bladder is, that's your G spot, that's your P spot, that's exactly where you want to be. So that feeling of pressure is usually a byproduct of stimulating the exact right spot. And 9 times out of 10, it doesn't mean that you're actually going to pee, but a lot of people will panic when they start to feel that sensation and stop, which you shouldn't, because a lot of the time that sort of burning sensation feeling like you're about to pee means you're probably actually about to have the best orgasm you've ever had. So again, confidence is key here. The confidence and relaxation, something that can really help a lot, is a product called Splash Blanket. Now, there are a few different variations of this type of product, but it's basically a waterproof throw blanket that you put down that you have sex or masturbate on top of. Having the confidence in the back of your mind that even if I do pee, it's not going to make a mess everywhere can help you relax into that sensation. Sometimes this is where squirting experiences are born. If you've got that sort of layer of protection giving you that confidence in that moment, it's so much easier to relax into that moment and just let your body do whatever it's going to do. Highly recommend splash blankets, do it. So, another question born from the last episode or coming from it, what the hell is edging, and should I bother? Is it worth the effort? The answer is yes, it is worth it. Edging is basically building yourself up close to orgasm and then easing off, letting that sort of peak level of arousal drop down a bit, and then starting again and bringing yourself back to the brink. Now, the benefit of edging isn't just a bigger orgasm at the end, which is usually the result, but it's more about building that awareness and your own body's sort of arousal response. But it's building up arousal over time, which just it increases that anticipation. You're building up, everything is going to be more intense when you do get to the end. And along the way, you're learning how your body responds to different things. You're learning about what that build up actually feels like in your own body, and also where that threshold is, right? Where is that tipping point that's going to lead you over into orgasm? Whenever someone asks me about edging, is it worth it? My response is always, well, what's the rush? Why rush? The whole point is the build up. And if you come accidentally during the build up, that's the worst thing that can happen. And if the worst thing that can happen is an orgasm, it's a worthwhile experiment. Next question, how do you use Kegel balls? Kegel balls, Benoit balls, they've been called so many different things throughout the years, and every brand that makes adult products has their own versions, multiple, of these sort of Kegel exercise balls. Some of them will vibrate, some of them come with an app, so you interact with it through your phone, but they all do the same thing. A Kegel exerciser, no matter the shape, style, function, is there for people who find it easier to have something physically to clamp down on with your pelvic floor muscles than exercising those muscles on their own. So, if you're someone who prefers to have something actually physically there, it's like any type of exercise. You might be the sort of person who hates going for a run, but you can run on the treadmill for 4 hours watching TV. If you're that person and you prefer that sort of external stimulant or that extra step involved, Kegel exercises are for you. But no matter what you do, remember that it's not about clenching down as hard as you can. A lot of people, when they get Kegel balls, they will overextend their pelvic floor muscles trying to clench down as hard as they possibly can. That's not the idea. The idea is control, right? It's not going to fall out of you. Just relax into it and keep your sessions short. Sometimes when you start using external tool to do your pelvic floor muscles, there is a temptation to go for longer sessions. You definitely don't want to do that. An entire pelvic floor routine should only last about a minute or two. You can do it multiple times a day, but just keep that in mind. This next question is one that I used to get all the time from people who would come into the sex shop for the first time. And they would look around at the hundreds of different options available on the shelves and on the walls and behind the counter and everywhere and go, okay, it's my first time. What am I actually looking for? How do I know what size or shape or function or whatever is going to actually work for me? The simple answer is you don't, especially if you're new to buying toys. It's a trial and error thing. You are going to find some parts of this toy really good, some parts of that toy really good. You're gonna have to experiment over time to find the sort of style that you're looking for. But in general, if you are buying a toy for the first time, go for something on the smaller side. Go for something that's not intimidating, right? A lot of newer toys that have 8 different functions will have 8 different buttons for those 8 different functions. And the last thing that you want to be doing is reaching for the instruction manual or trying to figure out what button does what while you're experiencing that toy for the first time. So start small, start simple, and start with something versatile, something with a couple of different functions. If you can find something that vibrates but also has an air pulse function, for example, it's going to give you more options to sort of explore what you're actually going to enjoy so that when you go and buy your next toy, you know exactly what you're looking for. And then always, when you go for subsequent visits, buy something different, right? External versus internal, curved versus straight, soft versus hard. You're not being picky. You're never going to find the perfect toy, but it's about learning what things or what combinations of things really work for you. And if something's not working for you, don't hoard it in your drawer. Get rid of it. Go out, buy something else. Another common sex shop question I always used to get: do arousal gels or tablets actually work? Yes, but not always. They're not magic potions. Different people, different metabolisms, drinking alcohol or taking other drugs is going to change how you respond to tablets. If you're buying tablets from a sex shop, the first thing you have to understand and idea you have to get out of your head is that it's not Viagra, it's not Cialis, it's not the sort of thing you're going to get with a prescription at a chemist. These are usually herbal formulas. Do they work for people? Yes. Are they going to work for everyone? No. Maybe you need two tablets instead of one. Maybe if you have a big meal and then take one, it doesn't metabolize as well. Again, it's a hit and miss experiment thing like everything in the sex shop. So, yes, they can work, but they're not magic pills. And when it comes to the arousal gels, again, they all have different ingredients and a lot of them have different bases. You can get water based gels, oil based gels, massage oils that have stimulants built into them. Some of them will cause a warming or a cooling effect depending on the ingredients. So it's going to be a case of, like everything else, experimentation. When you go there, buy 3 or 4 different types of ones that do different things. Don't use them all at the same time, obviously, but experiment with which one is actually going to work for you in the moment. And the biggest impact that gels and tablets have isn't necessarily the active ingredients or how much they cost or anything like that. Again, it's in your head. When I use this, my experience will be heightened. If that's where your head is at while you're using that product, it doesn't matter what's in the product, it's doing what it's supposed to do. Another favorite question from working in the sex shop. The number of times people would come in and say, "Oh, my sex life is dead. I haven't had sex in," and just insert any period of time you can imagine. Weeks, months, years. Yes, years. And they would come in and say, "My sex life is dead. I need something to spice it up. What do you recommend?" It's a question that I always hated getting because products is never what's actually missing. It's not the reason the sex life is dead. You didn't stop having sex because you didn't have the right products in your life. Spice isn't the answer. It's usually that you've fallen into a routine, a daily, weekly, monthly, whatever routine that doesn't include sex. There's a lack of communication, you're putting pressure on each other, or there's a genuine disconnection between the two people. And if that's the case, then there's nothing in the sex shop that's going to fix your sex life for you. What is going to help, though, is slowing down, prioritizing that time with each other, and removing orgasm as the goal. When orgasm becomes the goal of sex, it adds a layer of expectation. It makes it a performance. It turns it into that tick list item because it's like, yep, we're going to go into the bedroom. I'm going to make her come. She's going to make me come. And then we're done. And if that's how you're thinking about sex, you're never going to take the time to actually build up that arousal over time to just enjoy the experience. You've taken all the most beautiful parts of the experience away. So, something as simple as going in with the intention of just kissing, that can lead to some magical things. That's honestly my advice when I was working in the sex shop to anyone who said, "I need to spice it up." You don't need fluffy dice. You don't need handcuffs. You don't need arousal gels. You just need to spend more time exploring each other's bodies and finding out what's actually missing in the relationship. Now, if you take anything away from this episode, I want it to be that you're not behind, you're not broken, and you're not the only one with questions. Far from it. Most people just have a hesitation of saying them out loud. But I want you to commit to not doing that anymore because we're trying to expand our understanding of things. So, slowing things down, taking the pressure off ourselves, and paying attention to our bodies instead of judging them. Now, if you have questions that are different to the ones we've talked about today, send them through. If you don't want them in the public comments section, that's totally fine. Send me a DM. I will answer your question the absolute best I can. Nothing is off limits here. As always, follow us on social media. And if you want to watch the video that goes along with these episodes, of course it will be up on YouTube. I'll see you next time.